Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're talking about a really important visit to Damascus. This city, with its rich history and cultural significance, has been at the heart of many pivotal moments in the Middle East. Big news: Germany's top diplomat, Annalena Baerbock, and her French counterpart, Jean-Noël Barrot, went to Damascus. Their arrival marked a significant moment in international relations. This was a huge deal because it was the first time any important EU officials had been there since President Assad fell from power in December 2024. The fall of Assad was a turning point for Syria, and this visit symbolizes a new chapter. Seeing them there, amidst all the changes in Syria, gave people hope that things might be getting better. The atmosphere was filled with cautious optimism. For over 10 years, the EU mostly stayed away, while Syria went through a terrible civil war. The conflict left deep scars on the nation and its people. This visit showed that maybe things are changing, that they might start working with Syria again. It was a gesture of goodwill and a sign of potential collaboration. Everyone was watching as Baerbock and Barrot met with Ahmad al-Sharaa, the new leader of Syria's government. This meeting was closely monitored by international observers. This meeting was a big step towards talking things out and trying to make peace. It was a platform for dialogue and understanding. It showed that everyone recognized that Syria is different now, without Assad. The new leadership is trying to steer the country towards a more stable future. It also showed how hard it will be to fix things. The road to recovery is long and fraught with challenges. It looked like the EU was ready to help. But could they really trust each other after everything that happened? Trust needs to be rebuilt, just like the infrastructure. This visit wasn't just about being friends again. It was about giving hope to the Syrian people. It was a message that the international community is willing to support Syria's journey towards peace. Seeing Baerbock and Barrot there reminded everyone that the world hadn't forgotten about them. Their presence was a beacon of hope. It was a way of showing support for a country that really wants peace after so much violence. The desire for peace is strong among the Syrian people. But even though there was hope, everyone was still a little worried. The memories of conflict are still fresh, and the path ahead is uncertain. Making peace in Syria will be really hard. It requires not just political agreements, but also healing the wounds of the past. The war caused a lot of damage, and people still remember how bad things were under Assad. The scars of war are visible everywhere. This visit from the EU was a good start, but it's just the first step in a very long journey. Rebuilding trust and infrastructure will take time and effort. Everyone is hoping this is the beginning of a better future for Syria. The dawn of a new era is on the horizon, filled with hope and possibilities. Okay, so to understand why this visit was so important, we need to look back at what happened in Syria. The story of Syria is one of resilience, struggle, and a quest for freedom that has spanned over a decade. Back in 2011, lots of people in the Middle East were protesting their governments. These protests were driven by a desire for more democratic governance, economic opportunities, and an end to corruption. This was called the Arab Spring. It was a wave of revolutionary movements that spread across the region, inspiring millions. Syria, ruled by Bashar al-Assad, was part of this too. The Syrian people, inspired by their neighbors, took to the streets. People started protesting peacefully, asking for more freedom. They wanted political reforms, the release of political prisoners, and an end to the state of emergency that had been in place for decades. But Assad's government didn't like that, and they started using violence. The peaceful protests were met with brutal crackdowns, leading to widespread unrest. This turned into a big civil war, made even worse by other countries getting involved and extremist groups joining the fight. The conflict became a complex web of alliances and enmities. Millions of people had to leave their homes, becoming refugees. The humanitarian crisis was staggering, with families torn apart and communities destroyed. It was a terrible time. The devastation was immense, and the international community struggled to respond effectively. Assad, with help from Russia and Iran, stayed in power for a long time. Their support was crucial in maintaining his regime. The groups fighting against him weren't very organized and had a hard time. The opposition was fragmented, making it difficult to mount a unified resistance. But in 2024, things changed. After years of relentless conflict, a significant shift occurred. Assad was weakened after years of fighting, and a group of rebels, including a group called HTS, attacked and finally forced him out in December 2024. This marked a turning point in Syria's history. After Assad left, people started to feel hopeful. but they also knew it would be hard to rebuild the country. The challenges ahead were immense, but so was the determination to overcome them. The new government, led by Ahmad al-Sharaa, has a really tough job. They face the daunting task of uniting a fractured nation. They need to bring everyone together after all the fighting. Reconciliation and rebuilding trust are key to moving forward. And because HTS, which some countries think is a terrorist group, is part of the new government, people are worried about human rights. The international community is watching closely. Things are still uncertain, but getting rid of Assad gives people hope for peace in Syria. The future is unwritten, but the spirit of the Syrian people remains unbroken. What will happen in Syria now that Assad is gone? That's a tough question with no easy answers. Different groups have different ideas, and it's not easy to see what will happen. Some people want democracy, while others have different visions for the future. But others are worried things will get even worse. The uncertainty is palpable among the people. Countries around the world don't all agree on what to do, and the international community is divided, but they all hope for peace. The future of Syria remains uncertain, but the desire for stability and harmony is universal. With all of this happening in Syria, Europe has a tough problem. Lots of refugees are still coming, and that's hard for European countries. They need to work together to help these people while also keeping their own countries safe. Leaders have to make difficult decisions about what to do. Even though Assad is gone, it's still hard for people to forget what happened. Trying to rebuild Syria is difficult because everyone remembers the violence. It's important to find justice and make peace, but that's really hard. Syrians need to deal with what happened so they can build a better future, and that takes a lot of courage. Building a peaceful and strong Syria will take a long time and be very difficult. There are lots of problems to solve, but the Syrian people are strong, and that gives us hope. The rest of the world needs to help them on this long and difficult journey.